haven't been here before, my name is Ku'u, and I'm a 2016 graduate of the ACM program. I'm also your host for today for our Talkin' Story with Alumni, where we get to chat with my fellow graduates and learn more about their college and career experiences. It looks like most people are in now, so perfect. If you have been here before, you know the drill. The chat box is open for you guys to drop any comments and questions. We'll try to work them in throughout our conversation, if not towards the end. But actually, I got the first question for you guys, and you can start thinking about that and drop in your answers. Feel free to turn on your cameras too. We love to see your faces, but just stay on mute for a bit while we talk. Gus and I will just do a quick Q&A, and then of course I'll open it up for everyone else to send in your questions, or you can ask him yourself towards the end. But like I said, I'm super excited to be here with you all. I am super excited to introduce our guest for today. He's probably one of the coolest classmates I've ever had, but also Gus, just forget that I said that. He laughs because he's gonna bring it up later probably. But anyway, and thank you for being off mute already. So this is perfect. This is August Harrington, or known to most by Gus. He actually started his collegiate journey at LCC, where he graduated with an associate's degree in TV and film production. At the time, he was also working at KITV4 as the weekend news director, and actually became one of Hawaii's youngest TV directors in history. He came over to ACM in 2014 and graduated in 2017. He currently works at KHON2, where he is a creative producer. He creates, produces, directs, writes commercials for them, but he also works on many of their TV spots. In his free time, he live streams to Twitch. I know what that is, but I don't do that. So Gus, you better tell everybody what games you play in the chat right now.
Sure, I'll explain.
Yeah. Well, they're young. They probably know what that means. But and he also has a podcast. So feel free to drop that in the chat too, Gus, so that everyone can follow you. But don't let me just explain his whole career. Jeff actually made this wonderful reel of Gus and his accomplishments. Wasn't that so fun, Gus? Everyone gets their own little reel.
I know. I now miss the man bun that I used to have.
Yeah. That was a look. That was a look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just want to kick it off with starting with some of the questions that we got, or answers that we got from people in the chat. We got Sweeney Todd, Hereditary, which is very scary. Trick or Treat. What's your favorite Halloween movie, Gus?
Probably a classic, Halloween Town from Disney. That's a good one.
That's the best one. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing, but then I was like, is that like too millennial of me to say that Halloween Town?
Only with the first actress. I don't like it with the second one.
Very true. I don't know who that girl is, but she wasn't.
Yeah, I don't remember the names. Yeah.
It's not Marnie. Yeah, same, same. Um, Thank you guys for talking in the chat. Don't forget to drop any of your questions and comments throughout. But I mean, I guess I just want to start. You have had so much experience in TV, Gus. Did you always know that you wanted to work in TV and film?
Yeah, kind of. When I was like 14, there used to be like these commercials for like video now cameras on Nickelodeon and stuff like that. And my mom had gotten me one of those when I was like 14. And kind of ever since, like me and my friends were out at the park making just videos of kind of being more like jackass and like jumping off of things at first, but it eventually evolved into like skits and stuff like that. So I kind of did know that I wanted to do something in video early on.
That's cool. I mean, our generation, I feel like, was like right at the start of YouTube. So were you just on YouTube posting all of those videos?
Yeah, so I feel old now, but I predate YouTube,
Oh,
and there used to be, yeah, we used to post on a website called stupidvideos.com. And
love
that was
that.
like, yeah, that was the first like kind of like YouTube like site. And then when YouTube came around, we started posting on YouTube. So there's a bunch of videos still on YouTube from what we used to make.
All right, everybody, Google it later.
Yeah, yeah, do your best to find that.
I mean, I think a lot of people here, you know, especially in the creative media program, they're really inspired by things that really like jumpstart their, you know, creative journeys and the field or mediums that they want to go into. What was that inspiration for you?
Um, I don't know. I just liked watching videos. I really like short form videos. There's a guy named Julian Smith on YouTube that made like real cinematic, like short, like 4 minute videos. And they would be these kind of like almost like SNL skits, but he had made it in like a cinematic version. And I just really enjoyed that kind of stuff. And that kind of inspired me to want to pursue it, I guess.
Mm. And you graduated from Campbell, right? And then you
Yep.
went straight over to LCC, and then you
Yep.
transferred to West Oahu. I mean, what was it like to do those transitions? And I guess like what helped you power through all of those?
Um, I, I mean, from Campbell to LCC, I had a teacher there that kind of really recommended me going there, so that was kind of easy. And I mean, going into the college space, it at first it probably hits you, and it's kind of a shock where like I'm on my own. I don't have anyone looking after me to like make sure that I'm on time, and I don't have anyone saying or slapping me on the wrist really for being late or something like that, when you kind of have to be accountable for yourself. So there's that. And I mean, I definitely had my struggles at first. I'm not going to lie and say I haven't failed a class before, but I got it around, and I became a kind of good student. And by the time I got to West Oahu, I had already kind of been in school for a while, so the transition was kind of easy.
Hmm. What class did you fail? Just so that we're all on the same page. No. Oh, you're muted.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. But it was actually psychology. I just didn't
Oh,
show up to the class. That was really all it was.
yeah, I didn't do so great in like any of my science classes, not gonna lie. Science in high school is hard, and then science in college, especially if you already know that you're gonna like go into something in media. I was like, why do I need to do the science class? You know?
Hmm.
But I mean, what was your favorite class then, or your favorite assignment at West Oahu?
Um, Probably anytime we got to make any kind of video. We had one project I remember that we had to make a product, like,
Mm,
or and like kind of sell something, and it went kind of through the whole like marketing process of
mm.
having a ad, print, and making a commercial if you wanted and stuff like that. And I kind of liked the idea of kind of making
Mm.
up a story for a product and then kind of selling it and stuff. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean that kind of directly lends to what you do now. But
Yeah.
before we go into that, Anastasia actually asked the question. Thanks for joining us again, girl. What did you take away from your TV Pro classes that you still use today?
It's funny. It's usually on my desk, and I just took it off, but I still have the 101 like book that you get
She's looking for
in
it.
that
She's gonna get
class. Yeah, I have it. It's like somewhere in my room. It's usually right here. Yeah, there you go. That's the exact book. Yeah. So I still have that book. It's not that I go through it all the time, but like what I learned in TV Pro, I definitely use a lot. I think, and I mean, the stuff that you learn in the classroom is fine, but I think more what we learned going to shoots, because you do like talk story festival and stuff like that, and learning how to act on a set and stuff like that, I think is the biggest thing that I took away. And it's definitely benefit me now being on a bunch of sets all the time, and knowing to like, a big thing is to like hurry up and like get everything done, and then you can wait and not stand around is like a big thing, definitely.
Can you tell us a little bit more about like one of your more difficult or challenging shoots or assignments that you had to do, and kind of how you got through that?
In school?
Yeah.
Um,
There are just so many.
I'm trying to pick one. I don't know that we had a difficult one. I mean, the hardest one might have been like the Regal theater one, where we had to go to a bunch of different locations, and it was a lot of different days where like one shot was a whole hike, or like a whole drive out to the west side to get one shot of like a wave, and we wanted just like random segments and stuff like that. So in that sense, like having a shoot that is multiple days, that was an assignment, kind of was difficult. But other than that, I don't know that it was hard. It was just a lot of work, I would say.
Charlotte said, yes, the Regal.
Yeah.
Exclamation point. I think also, in those shoots, you kind of learn how to work with your team, and getting to do that at school, with your classmates is helpful, because that prepares you to work, in a work environment. A lot of people asked this in our previous talk stories, but I mean, how do you deal with a team that might be a little difficult, or might have different ideas, or might want different things out of what you guys produce?
When you're in school, it's difficult because you have to work with those people no matter what. I mean, you do when you're in a professional setting, but at least there's sometimes a boss or a hierarchy that kind of, they have to do something anyway. But definitely working with teammates that aren't maybe giving this as much of an effort as you are is difficult. And the best thing you can do is like kill it with kindness and do your best to encourage them to kind of pick up the slack on their end. I don't have an end-all solution to bad teammates.
Yeah.
Just try to be the best teammate yourself, is what I would say, probably.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, lead by example, kind of, but also just tips for people when they're dealing with classmates or working on projects in school. Charlotte said, and outside of the class. So what's been the most challenging or difficult assignment that you've had at work or in your other freelance work?
So I make a lot of commercials, and I wouldn't be able to say like one, but there's plenty of difficult situations where you're trying to get a commercial done and there's a deadline, and maybe the client maybe isn't happy, or maybe the script that they approved was all good to go, and then when you get onto the shoot, they've changed everything. So you have a plan going in, and then you kind of have to on the fly figure it out. So that can be difficult sometimes to continue to produce something that you think is quality of what you can make when someone kind of throws you a curveball like that. But yeah, I don't know that I could say a specific one, but I mean, it happens often with clients where they think that they want something and then they'll change their mind, and you kind of got to go with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss that creative media is also about collaboration,
Hmm.
And having that spirit to work with other people, especially if you're working with clients, you want to make something that they like actually, but it's also like doable. Can you tell people a little bit more about your job now and kind of your favorite parts on the job?
Yeah. So I'm a creative producer at KHON, and I write, edit, direct, produce commercials all the way down. Oh, well, I'll go through the whole process. So we an account exec gets a client, and the client wants a commercial. We have what is called a creative meeting together, which is me and the client and the account exec. We talk about what maybe they want for a commercial, and we kind of go over what is possible and what isn't. And after we kind of have an idea or a vision for the commercial, I'll go back and I'll write a script, whether it's a 15 or a 30-second script. And about a week later, we'll have another meeting called a script reading meeting. We'll go over the script, and we'll kind of stay in that meeting until everyone's happy with the script. Once everyone's happy, then that meeting's done. So we'll go over lines, we'll go over talent, we'll go over visuals, whatever they want to be shown, if they want their phone number, or if they only want their website, or if they want a guy as the voiceover artist, or if they want a girl, or if they want someone that can speak Hawaiian, or like all kinds of stuff like that. That is all hashed out, like the main planning in that kind of meeting. So you can tell why when you have that intense meeting and like someone throwing a curveball, it can get kind of frustrating. But after that, you schedule a production date, and then you have the production and edit the commercial after that. And it's usually the whole process for a commercial is usually about 3 weeks. So it's pretty fast turnaround that you have to go through all of that from nothing to finished in at least 3 weeks.
Wow. And do you like usually have multiple productions going at a time?
Yeah, so in our department, we have about usually like 40 to 50 commercials in some sort of stage. So either in script writing or being edited. Somewhere in there, there's usually about 40 to 50 between me and two other guys.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work. And I think a lot of people will want to know, how did you find your job at KHON? Were you looking to go into news again, or?
I was actually teaching at West Oahu during the summer right before, and I had worked at KITV, and I knew Pamela Young. She has her own show called Mixed Plate, and she used to be a TV personality, I guess you could say. And she just hit me up on Facebook and was like, if you're looking for work, they're looking for a commercial producer, and I know you can do it. So if you want, apply. And I applied and got the job. So it's all about kind of networking and connections and being nice to your old coworkers, definitely. Burn any bridges.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask next. In this field that we have to collaborate, it's also great to build a good network that you can rely on when you're looking for work. What kind of tips would you give to somebody who's trying to build a network and trying to put themselves out there?
If you have an opportunity to do any kind of gig that maybe has paid people and maybe you aren't paid, do a couple of those. I know it kind of sucks not to get paid, but you do a couple of those, you get your name out, and then you ask for money. As long as you get you kind of need to get your name out first so that people know who you are and know you're reliable. Because if you go once and they take you, if they call you back, then you know you did good. So then after that, you could definitely ask for money. And 9 times out of 10, people will give you money for work that you should get paid for. Just usually the first time you won't. Other than that, I would say be nice to as many people as you can, and do your best when you're on any kind of set. If you're not going to be happy on a set, then figure out a way to not go to that set, or just do the job and try and have a smile on your face. Because some jobs are not fun, but you never know if someone's on that shoot that could get you a bunch of jobs next time.
Mm, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like a lot of the times, especially when you're just starting out, you're just trying to get that experience, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
putting yourself out there. In a couple of the last talk stories, you know, we had a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't know how to build a network, or I don't know how to, like, what if I'm not confident enough to like put myself out there? Where do you recommend people look for that kind of work? Is it usually just through networks, online, job postings?
I mean, so you can, school is a good one. School is your number one right now for everyone that's in school. Make sure you're friends with as many classmates as you can be. And sorry, there's a jet going over right now. But make sure you're friends with as many classmates as you can be. And if they're doing projects, you're not going to get paid on those. So do as many of those and network and have fun and do those projects. I mean, there's plenty of, if you know what Twitch is, there's plenty of streamers and stuff like that. If you're a really good editor, you can reach out to those streamers and say, hey, I'll edit your videos if you give me a percentage of your YouTube revenue. Like, that exists. Reaching out is probably your best bet to network, because no one's going to know that you're looking to network until you kind of let them know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I know that some of us, I mean, I have call anxiety. Every time I have to call like a source or something, I have to like hype myself up, you know,
Sure.
before I talk to people. So if you need to do something to hype yourself up, just do it and then send the message. The worst thing they can say is no, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I deal with, I used to have like call anxiety to go into like client meetings and stuff like that. But once you do it enough, it's kind of all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get over it.
One of my coworkers at my job, she's our podcast producer. She used to be a telemarketer. So she just has no call anxiety. She calls everyone up for her story.
She's very used to people saying no.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to talk to you more about, you know, the process of making a commercial, but we actually got a question from Abby. She asked, can you share the average range for the cost of a commercial your team produces?
So production wise, it's different for everyone because it depends on where you buy and stuff like that and what show and stuff. And I'm not an account exec. The salespeople know those exact numbers. For production wise, we usually charge around like $350 an hour for editing. So like a 30-second commercial, let's say it takes maybe like 2 to 3 hours. So $350 per hour for 2 to 3 hours. And then production wise, to show up to a shoot, depending on if they have actors or whatnot and stuff like that, it can range from like $2,000. It can even go as high as like sometimes $5,000 if you have a bunch of actors, or if it needs extra grips or camera personnel or equipment and stuff like that, can go as high as that. I believe like a buy for a commercial, I think like the cheapest buy I think is like $10,000 for like 6 months or something like that. I can't, don't quote me on that, but I think it's something like that.
I hope that answered your question, Abby. We have another question actually from Anastasia. She said, what tips would you give to someone who wants to go into being a reporter for KHON2, or even putting their foot in the door?
They have internships. Internships are your best opportunity. Our morning weather girl, Kelly, when I was at KITV, she was interning as the nighttime weather girl as an intern. And then just from that internship, she got enough experience and auditioned at KHON, and now she's the morning weather girl. So it's, your foot in the door is an internship, definitely. And it not just with news stations. PBS has internships that they do plenty of news and stuff like that too. But if it's something you want to do, I mean, there's even guys like I think his name is Kainoa. He does like that island news. It's kind of comedy, but he still does like his own Instagram news. Start doing something like that, and someone will see it eventually.
Mm. Yeah, I think that, you know, we kind of underestimate internships, especially because you're in school, right? You're doing classwork, you might have a job, and then on top of that, getting an internship. But I think internships really start you off in where you want to go. You know, you can, I mean, I know it's hard, and I can be like, yeah, do all of the things, but, you know, also take care of yourself and balance your time, you know?
Yeah,
Anastasia asked, where can I sign up for internships for KH1? I think you can just look online. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Google.
Yeah, you
Oh,
could
do you
do
want to?
that.
Oh,
I could
sorry. I
get you an
thought.
email. I was trying to think who I should. I could get you an email for someone. Here, I'll put my email in the chat, and then you can email me, and I'll get you an email to talk to someone.
Thank you. I've did a interview for a scholarship, for the broadcasting scholarship, and the CEO was one of the people that told me about the internships, but he's like, okay, bye, because it was a 15-minute slot. So
Gotcha.
I wasn't able to get the information for the internships, and I've been looking almost every week internship, and I really strongly, I was also a TV pro grad, so
Cool.
that was where my step was. I started there, and I continued to want to be in this field since like even middle school.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I really, when you said you work for KHON, I was like, excited. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I don't work on the news side anymore, but I know people on the news side. So email me, and then I'll talk to who I know in news to see if there's openings or how to even get into an internship. Because I honestly don't know, but I know we have interns.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks for doing that, Gus, and thanks for turning on your mic, Anastasia. If anyone else wants to ask questions personally, I mean, please do. Just, I don't know, just unmute yourself when we get towards the end of this. But I mean, I love that sparked something for you, and I'm so glad you could make that connection here, Anastasia. I think as far as like looking for internships, it is really just consistently checking. I mean, a lot of people do internships over the summer, but some people might offer them like year round. So, I mean, I get what you mean. I was constantly Googling things. Renee said, cool, can you share your internship experience? It is an amazing story. Thanks, Renee. But we're focusing on Gus. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead, you can talk about it.
No.
You had a really cool one. You went to the mainland and everything.
Yeah. Yes. In our first talk, I know. I just feel like I just introduce myself in the beginning of this and I just turn it to whoever's here. But I mean, yeah, if you came to the first one, I got to share a bit more about my career. I also work in news like Gus, but a little bit of a different journey. I got to intern on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon in New York. And everyone always asks, like, how did you get that? Or how did you do that? Guys, I literally just Googled it, okay? I was literally like, what do I want to do? Like, and I knew that I wanted to work in TV, but I just didn't know what capacity. And I thought like, if I could have an internship anywhere, I mean, I'd love for it to be on a TV show that I love, right? So I Googled it and I found it on NBC Universal. A lot of like big media conglomerates like that offer year-round internships every semester. So it's always good to just check it out. I went through 3 rounds of interviews and I got it. And I would definitely say that it was one of the best experiences that I've ever had. Not only did I get to learn what it's like to work on a TV show and in a studio, but I mean, it also pushed me to understand like the kinds of stories that I want to tell, you know, and who I want to be as a professional. So that's just like the Sparks Notes version of it. I just wanted to get through that. But Google is great and constantly checking on it. I also live by my Google Calendar. So I like constantly check. I'll put like reminders or tasks to myself, like, hey, you got to check this or check this website or something. So, I mean, feel free to use the tools that you have. I mean, Gus, what are kind of like the main tools that you use in your job that you need to get it done?
I kind of self-organized. I made like my own background on my computer. I don't have it on this computer. On my work computer, I have like stages of projects, and they're all in folders meticulously with folders inside the folders that have one for graphics, one for video, one for audio, and then I have the script down there just to keep everything organized like that. And then I have on my background, I'll move things as they stage down from script to edit to finish is what I have it at. So I do that. But other than that, I mean, Outlook calendars, definitely. I have all my shoots and meetings and stuff like that on my Outlook calendar. So I definitely live by that too.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask, where do you go to for inspiration? Like, let's say you've hit a creative block on a commercial. Where do you go? What do you look for? Is there like sites or profiles that you like to, check on?
I'll go on YouTube. YouTube is kind of where I'll go if it's a client that maybe is a restaurant, or maybe they're specifically maybe like an Italian restaurant. I'll watch like commercials from the mainland and stuff like that to maybe get some sort of inspiration on something. But being in Hawaii, like everyone kind of wants to have kind of their own version. So even doing that doesn't really like help sometimes, because you can't really copy a mainland style when it doesn't really fit for Hawaii. So honestly, yeah, just YouTube videos. I'm on social media a lot, and a lot of people want, at least a lot of businesses right now want their commercials to kind of relate to social media, or to be able to be used on social media. If you saw the first commercial that kind of had the guy that looked like The Rock, and stuff like that. So that commercial actually, it aired on TV for a while, but it aired on social media like Facebook and stuff like that even more. And that company, Big Rock, they used a outside company to like promote through social media and stuff like that. And the company that they got said that they've never had as much traffic on a commercial as that one. So it related enough to, it related enough on social media that it like connected. And that's kind of like what people want now. So it might be bad, but I'm on social media a lot.
It's okay. I think we all are. Okay. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I am. But you'll find a lot of inspiration. I mean, in my like saved, like in my save folder on Instagram, I have like a bunch of things that I'm like, oh, that's like a really cool graphic, or like, oh, I really like something that someone said, like that saved option comes in real handy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to check our chat. Don't forget to drop stuff into it, guys. We're coming up towards the end. So if you have any questions for Gus, we definitely want to get to them. Aaliyah asked, are there internships for video editors?
There's usually production houses that will have internships for video editors. 1013 is now a new name, but I know they used to always have interns and stuff like that. The main thing is like look up production houses in Hawaii. There's a bunch of them, and reach out. Just all of them will have an email at the bottom. Write a very nice email that says, I'm a student and I'm looking for an internship. These are my skills. This is what I'm good at. If you think I can come and help you guys out or work on something, same thing. You just got to reach out.
Anastasia asked, my friend is in this Zoom. What is one tip he should know about that internship? I don't know if you're asking about internships in general or particularly a KHON. I think she's going to tell us right now. Oh, me. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, let me go back. What is one tip he should know about that internship? Oh, that in my internship in New York, that's actually good. I haven't really thought about that for a while, but I mean, I guess working in TV and late night like that, we'd shoot earlier in the night and it would air later on. So I think it's just being really flexible and always being on your toes, especially in big companies like that. They love if you've got a great LinkedIn. They love if you're like if you really put yourself out there, honestly, and you try to make the connections while you can, obviously, like in a professional way, right? We get to meet a lot of like showrunners and directors and a lot of people who have been in the business for a long time. So just, being respectful and doing their job. I mean, most of what I did was on their blog team. So I assisted with their tweets and making competitive analysis reports and stuff like that, making GIFs for them. I mean, I think my biggest tip for whenever you do any job is just to do it to your best ability, even if it's getting a salad for somebody, which is what I've had to do multiple times as a PA or production assistant. Like, even just doing that, people will remember you for it. I answered calls a lot. Like, I had to work the reception desk on the show, and people would just remember like, oh, cool, she has such a nice voice. She sounds so kind, just little things like that to do the best job that you can. I mean, really makes an impression on people. And Gus brought that up earlier too. Let's see, we've got a couple more questions, which is great. Lake asks, what do you like most about your work?
I like that it's never the same. I mean, there's a process, and the process is always the same, but it's a new project all the time. It's a new challenge. Yeah, so every day is kind of new. It's still a 9 to 5, but every project is different. I'm not doing the same thing every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that about the creative field. Everything is different and every day brings a new challenge. But I mean, I think something else that a lot of the students think about when they're thinking about their careers is like, do I want to work, for like a brand or for an agency? Like, do I want to tell one specific story, or do I want to get to tell like multiple stories? I think that's something that you learn when you go through internships, though.
Sure. Yeah. I would say wherever you kind of get your foot in the door that you think you connect with is kind of sometimes what you're stuck with. If you wanna be someone that tells like a story like a movie, then definitely that's a space to be in. If you want to be kind of in the YouTube space where you're independent and stuff like that, that's always a space too.
Yeah. Charlotte, I don't know if she sent you this, but she sent it to me. She's like, such a transformation. Gus has come full circle. Take your compliments.
I appreciate it.
Charlotte also wants you to tell everyone what it was like teaching a class at West Oahu.
It was good. I was definitely very nervous for the first week, and it was interesting, but I enjoyed it. I think eventually when I'm done working in the field, that's something that I want to do. And I think I would only want to teach at the college level. I don't want to deal with parents.
Same. Okay, Charlotte, you're writing my name and Gus's name down that we need a job in the future, okay? No, I'm kidding. Gino asked, any internships, part-time jobs for photographers and videographers? I mean, I'm sure you can find it. Do they have specific ones for you guys at KHON?
Videographers, there's your best source is to go onto like Indeed or Glassdoor and search up videographers, or honestly, I would just put media entry level as your like two kind of things, and then Honolulu. And if something pops up, apply to it. If even if say you're making more money working at wherever you're working, but it's not in your field, it's sometimes more beneficial to take the small pay cut to get into your field so that you can move up and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to ask you guys, where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years? Like, what is your dream career that you would like to make for yourself?
I don't know. I mean, it'd be cool to kind of do my own thing and maybe do commercials on my own, or I've thought about maybe getting more into the marketing side and kind of managing marketing somewhere or something like that. But I don't know, and I don't even know if my career path will keep me in Hawaii. It's really hard in Hawaii because they don't really pay as much as they do on the mainland for the same exact jobs that we do here. So it might take me to the mainland eventually, and that would be a whole different career path.
Yeah, that's definitely something to think about. I think even when you're looking for internships, you know, a lot of the ones that I did here were unpaid, but the one that I did in New York was paid. So I mean, I guess it just depends where you intern and like if you can make, you know, have the time and can do those. Also, it was like it cost a lot to move, okay, and I got like 2 weeks notice when I had to, so it's a lot to do that kind of work. I think it's Rachel. Rachel asked, what do you think are the biggest changes that are going to happen with marketing? I know a lot of content is starting to be user created content.
Well, I work in the commercial side of marketing, so I don't know that I'd be the best person to answer this, but it's definitely going towards social media. Everything is, it's got to connect to social media somehow, or it has to be solely on social media. Ads like Google AdSense and stuff like that are really smart. So using a lot of tools like that to kind of connect to your audience is very important. There's a bunch of, and if you're interested in marketing and stuff like that, there's marketing conferences. I think they're called like, hold up. I think I just got an email from them. I think it's AMA Hawaii. Those are the people to look into for marketing. So yeah, I've been to a couple of their conferences and stuff like that, and they talk about all kinds of stuff in the changing marketing spectrum in Hawaii and stuff like that. So if you're interested, it's a good place to look.
Yeah, I think a lot of in creative media or in creative industries, there's a lot of overlap with business. So I feel like if you can get like experience in marketing or in something else to really like add to your resume, you know, and to kind of figure out more what you want, I think is always a plus, you know, especially when you're looking for a job now. It's kind of like you have to be like a triple, quadruple threat, you know? So it's a lot to keep up with, I will say personally.
And Google has a free class too that you can get your Google marketing. I forget what it's called, but if you look up Google marketing class, I'm sure it'll come up. And a lot of marketing companies and stuff like that, they actually want you to have that because it teaches you Google Analytics and stuff like that. So that's kind of important.
Yeah, for sure. Gino, is it Gino? I forgot to include. Oh, sorry, wait, I lost my place. Oh, sorry, it's Renato, actually. He asked, do you have a magnum opus?
I don't know what that is, so I probably don't.
It's like, do you have like your greatest project, the culmination of everything that you've ever wanted to make? Your signature project.
I don't think I have that yet. I don't know. I think
maybe it's your podcast. No.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say my favorite projects that I've made have been with my friends, honestly. So, and those are ones that I wasn't paid for and stuff like that. Those are my favorite to make. But I don't think I do. I don't think I have that project yet.
Yeah.
Maybe when I make a short film or something like that, that'll be that.
And that's okay. I mean, you know, it's not like we like suddenly figured out everything, right? I mean, we graduated, but we're still learning, you know, and still like navigating our own careers. So basically we're just waiting for that short film. Okay, Gus?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely write scripts and stuff like that for other stuff other than commercial scripts and stuff. So I mean, there's scripts in the queue that I've wrote that maybe will never see the light of day. So
I remember you wrote like a cop comedy, right, for our script writing class?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, I don't know that I don't know where those scripts are.
Me
I
neither.
think they're gone.
I think I lost them. That was probably my best work. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Abby asked, for both Ku'u and Gus, for a company who needs effective marketing, where does print ads compare today with digital promotions? What have you observed these days? Mm-hmm.
You can go first.
You want to go first? Okay. When I first started, actually, I started as a social media producer. And that's actually kind of what a lot of my career is in social media management. And I mean, I haven't done print in a while. And by print ads, it's like newsletters, mailers, things that you can send to people. I just haven't, and even in, I work at Honolulu Civil Beat now. It's an online news. We don't even have a print newspaper. So it's just hard, and especially now, I think during COVID, it really emphasized, like, you really don't need a menu, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really need a printed menu or printed instructions or anything. Everywhere has a QR code now. So I think after this pandemic, it really like sped people up on moving to more like digital platforms. So I hope that addressed your question a bit, Abby. But I mean, as far as promotions, I think, everyone really relies on, well, in my work, we are a nonprofit newsroom, so we really do rely on our social media to get our stories out. But we also rely on our newsletter, our digital newsletter, to get our donors, essentially. Yeah. Do you want to jump in anywhere, Gus?
Yeah, I would just say that print is slowly going away, but I mean, there's digital versions of print that are still around, like emails and stuff like that, newsletters that get sent. That still exists, and there's still a need for that, but it's definitely something that's it's going the opposite way.
What's so funny is we're like, it's going the opposite way, but then Facebook and Instagram like died yesterday. And it was like, how is anyone going to read their news? Everyone who had a newspaper read their news yesterday, just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Axton asked, do you have a non-commercial project that you want to work on?
Definitely.
You said a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a short film. I'm working on a podcast with a friend, with two friends of mine, and eventually we're gonna have guests once COVID isn't kind of crazy, or if we figure out doing a podcast at a beach or at a park or something. But that's kind of what I've been working on, just kind of like fun projects that I don't really expect anything out of. But I have a couple of friends that yesterday were telling me that they want to get us into like beer labs and stuff like that to do our podcast there once a month. So there's always connections with all your other projects too.
Yeah. If you didn't already, you should drop it for people to follow. Put it in the chat. I will say, Gus does this thing where he like posts the question that they're going to talk about beforehand on his social media. Just for anyone who's thinking about advertising or marketing, it's like key for engagement to do that before you start your stuff.
We get a lot of people like the last podcast that we had so many that I couldn't go through them. Like it would have taken too long, and it would have taken up like the whole podcast. But definitely and I had tested out, I thought maybe it would work that way, where I would just put it out on my Instagram and people would answer. And I did it before we did the podcast a couple of times. And then when the podcast came around, the first week was kind of slow. Second week it started growing. And then the third week, it kind of like exploded with how many people answered. And sometimes it's about the question you ask, but
it is.
Marketing.
That's marketing strategy. Yeah, that is marketing strategy. Okay, guys. Let's see. Oh, Michaela asked, for both Ku'u and Gus, is there a moment you can recall where you got so frustrated with your work or a situation you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely times that you have issues with a coworker or how a situation went, and you're frustrated, and you just got to walk away sometimes, and you take a breath. I was definitely, when the pandemic happened, I was getting very stressed out I was feeling like I was never leaving work. I've adjusted now to where my room is also my workspace, and I can walk away and feel like I don't need to be stressed when I'm in here now. but I definitely had moments where I had to go outside, go into my backyard, hang out with my dog for a little bit, just to like get my brain off of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely figuring out a way to separate that helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also sitting in my bedroom right now, in my bedroom slash office.
Yeah,
but I try to make sure that I'm not sitting on my bed. I feel like that's like, bed is only for sleeping is what I've, tried to make that distinction in my head, especially working from home. But I mean, for me, I think, it's so easy to get frustrated with your work, especially if you feel like you're doing like a lot and like pouring yourself into it. I mean, I very much identify myself by my work. So I try to do a good job because like that's, if I do a good job on this, then it'll be worth it, So, I mean, I think it's a lot of me putting pressure on myself, it's a lot of like, no one actually puts the pressure on you. It's just like you in your head, So I think a lot of the times when I would get frustrated, it's just like things not going a certain way or not going the way that I thought they were going to be. During the pandemic, I worked on a podcast episode where I had like a very clear vision for what I wanted, but then my producer was like, "Oh, let's do this and let's try this," and of course she's just trying to make it better, right? So, I mean, it was frustrating in that, like, you're very connected to your work and like trying to just know when it's just work, is also like a huge thing. I think like a lot of creatives are also workaholics. So being able to separate like, hey, this is just my job. I get to clock out at 5 o'clock and do like things that I actually love, So, I mean, I guess Gus definitely hit on it, just making that separation for yourself. And I mean, everyone talks about work-life balance and like, is that a real thing? But we're trying for it,
Yeah.
Every day. Anastasia's shaking her head like, no one said that. It's fake. I know. It's a lie. They told us there was work-life balance. But I mean, especially for creatives, if you love what you do, and you're producing things that you love, I mean, it's hard to, sometimes I work till like 9 o'clock at night. I just forget, I hope that answered your question, Michaela. And if you have a follow-up, you can just drop it in the chat. We're coming up towards the end, guys. Only a couple more minutes. We have a couple questions here that I'll go through, but drop them in before we have to sign out, okay? Anastasia asked, tips for students starting or doing their capstone projects.
Do it early. I mean, I'm sure you've already heard that. I wasn't a big fan of the writing, so start the writing early. Mm-hmm. And so once you get that done, then the rest is kind of easy. Because if you're making a video or if you're making a project or whatever, isn't it like half the writing? So mm-hmm. If you can figure out something that you're passionate about and write about it and make your project relate to it. Mine was like on media literacy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that project is actually still on my YouTube. To spoil it for you guys, I wrote this thing on media literacy about how you can trick people to believe whatever you want. I mean, it's been pretty big in the past year and a mm-hmm. half at least. And I made a kind of a vlog series mm-hmm. where I kind of like faked my life and made up all these situations and stuff like that, and then showed like a montage version of that to a class full of professors and stuff like that. I had Charla introduce me and as if I was someone or something, and all the professors listened as I talked. I showed them the video and I asked, so what did you guys think? Do you guys believe everything that you saw there? And I was like, just raise a hand if it was a yes. And everyone in the classroom raised their hand. And I was like, well, good. So everything you saw up there was a lie. None of that was real. I proposed to a girl, and all the women in the class were like, but that was your girlfriend, right? I was like, nope, it wasn't even my girlfriend. So have fun with it and figure out how you're going to do it and make it a whole thing.
I clearly remember that. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
He like showed us this whole video and he proposed to this girl, and I was like, I didn't even know that Gus had a girlfriend, but okay, he's gonna get married now. I believed
exactly.
it. I'm a sucker. I believed it. Charlotte said he fooled the whole class. He did, Charlotte. It was rude, honestly. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, that was the whole point too. That like is. I wanted something that would fool people. I mean, I took the extra thing. I flew out to LA on my own to like meet up with a friend too. So like it kind of sold it where it was like, whoa, this dude like flew to LA. I got the cheapest flight and the cheapest hotel and like hung out with my friend for like 2 days. That's what I did.
Well, you did. You fooled us. Yeah. And I mean, if you guys have the link to that, that would be great to show everyone like what we're talking about. But it was so good. And I think that's like such a creative approach to do your project. And I think it also gave us all a like little insight into like how influencers can fool you, you know? So
yeah, that was definitely part of my part of what it was. There was, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was some influencer that had faked his relationship for like months or something like that, saying that they were together and happy and stuff like that. And that was kind of like the basis of me making the vlog to like do kind of what they did and like fake a life. Almost.
Right. No, that was great. I love that so much. Oh, did you share it? Guys,
that's the playlist. That's the playlist for the whole vlog.
That's awesome. I think that's a great tip for people too when they're doing theirs is do something creative, you know, do something different. For my senior capstones, I actually did senior internships so I could knock it out, right? Get an internship, get a class credit. Like that was the most convenient for me, honestly.
Yep. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, couple more minutes, couple more questions. Renato said, am I the only one who slept through the Facebook outage? I didn't, but okay, Renato. I woke up thinking I broke Instagram. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, Instagram wasn't loading for me, and I just answered emails.
No.
I wasn't that sad.
Oh, you worked.
It was okay. No. Yeah, I worked.
Oh, good for you. Abby asked, live or pre-recorded podcasts, which draws more views in your opinion?
Depends. Probably pre-recorded because you can shoot it out to a bunch of places and they can listen to it whenever. It's not time stamped. But I mean, depends. I definitely get more concurrent views on like a VOD, which is like a video after it was live on Twitch than I do on YouTube videos right now. But that's just because my YouTube channel isn't that big.
Yeah, Abby knows I also do a podcast for work and it is pre-recorded and we plan out the whole season before we launch the whole season. But also I watch a lot of podcasts on YouTube now too. So, I mean, I think it's a lot of like using the mediums that you got and trying to promote and push where you can, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know that I ever want to do a live podcast. I'm too worried about what my friends might say. The point of our podcast is to kind of just let it go. A lot gets edited out that people will never see.
Yeah. I was going to say, that sounds like you do the editing then. Lots of editing. Yeah. That's all the questions that we have so far. I mean, is there anything else that you would like to share for our students and anyone else in this audience?
Get your degrees and do great things. That's kind of all I have.
Yeah. Just graduate. No kidding.
Yeah. Just graduate and do some great shit.
I just want to thank you so much, Gus, for joining us today, and just thank everybody who came and talked with us and sent in your great questions. Please stay tuned. We'll be doing another one of these. So just make sure you open your newsletters and check social media, but we'll be posting about that soon. Thanks everyone for coming. See you guys later.
Thanks, guys.